Okay, so we have a next guest here on stage, and he's advising Microsoft's clients at C and board level when it comes to the strategy and the implementation of digital transformation initiatives. And before joining Microsoft, he worked for Ernst & Young, also driving the digital business in sectors like automotive, telecommunication, and you're deeply connected to startups, company builders, bringing new ideas to a larger scale. You also worked on cross-industrial solutions and partnerships. So I'm very curious to hear more from you. Kunal Sachdeva, Global Senior Digital Advisor for Microsoft. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, what a topic after such a phenomenal moment. So I'm going to talk briefly about how's AI shaping some of the industry discussions we're having at the moment. So to quote Satya, it's just another piece of technology, but we are really at the most fundamental pieces of technology in human race we're actually creating now, and we're asking these questions. So I'm actually quite excited about it. I know there's a lot of creepiness around AI, but I'm quite excited about it because we're asking a lot of these questions which we should have asked, and we're asking again, about trust, about empathy, about inclusiveness and diversity, because we are interacting with machines. So it's for us, AI, for Microsoft, what great things can we do with AI and to increase the human productivity and empower every human being to create that ingenuity in them and also help them bring the best out of it. And the machines are there to help us there. Now, there's a study around what's the economic impact of AI. And you would see about 40% of the economic impact on the GDP could be reached in a couple of years. And this is just to show you some of the impact that we can already see happening in the value creation in respective countries from the AI. And now, why do we want to really talk about AI? Why now is quite a question, right? Everyone's asking. We had the PC age, we had the web, and then we had the data, we had transformation. And we are already estimating that by already 2020, a lot of these enterprises, 85% of these enterprises will be using some form or the other of artificial intelligence in them. And it's already over $1 trillion revenue driven by AI in the next 3 years. But what we see is, it's a very interesting time. Why we're saying that we need to really think about AI, why it's possible today. It's because right now the compute offers us the possibility to really data crunch some of the complicated challenges that we've had, and we didn't either have the data, but the compute allows us to do all the calculation and all the pervasive data that is around us, helping us to collect that data. Also, what we're seeing is the reasoning, the understanding, and the perception of the machines are changing. Therefore, we really see that for artificial intelligence is right now is the beginning, is the start of a great implementation phase, what we can see. Now, when we talk about vision, when we talk about speech, when we talk about language and knowledges in artificial intelligence, we see the machines can have the vision. Now, if a car can actually sense already that the rain is happening or is going to come, there's some sort of artificial intelligence involved in it. It's kind of sensing your environment with some of the additional human capabilities that machines have these days, or even the objects they have. Even speech, we're talking about real-time translation. Well, people with a lot of disabilities, that we can really help them with understanding what people are talking about, and especially people who cannot really see their environment. So the perception can be added by the contextual information we're adding. A lot of the comprehension languages we're seeing somewhere where we started some of the AI cases where we had the machine learning and also some of the neural networks implemented first in the language. What we see is also the knowledge graphs, about the company or about ourselves as human beings are being built around what actually is driving us, what sort of thinking that we have behind the decisions we're making, even to the level of understanding some of our empathy and also decision making. And we're seeing this really come to life. I'll show you a short video about AI for accessibility that we've created. shows you some of the power of the AI.
Soundscape fills in a lot of the mental map as you move.
Approaching intersection.
You can just put it in your pocket and go.
With ALS, you become locked in. But we see technology as a way to give back what ALS has taken away.
There's no better feeling than to hear a child say something that they've wanted to say and the look on their face after they've been able to say it.
When it's reading, I see spaces between the words.
And it's easy to focus on.
Anjay realized that here was something that could change his life.
Now that I have my phone, I can see exactly what was said, and that's been a huge help to me.
The system is learning as it goes, and the accuracy has improved tremendously.
Students can pick any language that they choose to receive the information. It's like we jumped into the future.
Because communication is very important for all of us, and we just want to be together and not feel left out.
Aider les personnes avec autisme à communiquer, il y a des images.
Je parle, je donne une information à Arthur et elle est traduite par l'application El Picto instantanément en pictogramme et après d'une façon orale.
Va t'habiller et te brosser les dents.
On va pouvoir remettre en place une communication qui est plus spontanée. Je crois que ça aide à recréer du lien.
Both my wife and I are totally blind, and we have a 3-year-old son that's in preschool. He can see, but his parents can't. So to be able to know what's going on at his school is everything. The Seeing AI app has the ability to allow me access to the visual world. Artificial intelligence is beginning to have an impact on the lives of people with disabilities, but it's only going to grow. There is still so much out there to be done.
Exactly. Let's see what we can do. That's the promise of artificial intelligence we see. We're seeing more and more emerging cases coming out from healthcare, transportation, agriculture, and education, for example. Healthcare, we are augmenting some of the surgeons to apply virtual or augmented reality kind of technologies to empower them to really help the patient. Even also in some cases, the hospitals. Microsoft has launched Project Inner Eye, which takes the data of the images from some of the oncology areas to predict better that you can have cancer at a percentage of above 90%, or whether you will be able to cure that or not. So we are not only looking at healthcare from a patient perspective, but we're looking at how it could become a connected healthcare from patient to providers, but also to hospitals. Even in education, in some of the cases we're seeing, it's relevant for the digital learning skills, how in the schools itself, some of the AI stuff can be implemented in the curriculums, and also helping students devise some novel cases that in the schools itself can emerge and help the students and teachers build up a separate, different relationship. Even in transportation, we see the cars, the autonomous driving, the connected cars. It's all the sensors that are driving the AI kind of capabilities within the cars becoming more personalized. We're seeing more hyper-personalized journeys that we have. Car knows me. Even also in agriculture, the farmers always had the issues about famine, when to water my plant or not. There's better predictability around farming, and also the precision farming cases that we are seeing in agriculture. From Microsoft vision is we really want to design AI to amplify human ingenuity. By that we want to really amplify humans' reasoning, understanding, and interacting when we are talking about AI. We see that our reasoning is sometimes could be biased and may not be fair, but we want to really ask those questions from a reasoning standpoint, but also understanding what we're getting into. And now when we interact with the machines, the human-to-machine interaction, how do we trust those? How do we build that relationship with those machines and those systems that are going to be helping us? So this is what the Microsoft's vision, we really are looking into these three aspects. But on the other side, I was talking to some other passengers. What is the AI? Some find it really creepy. Some find it really helpful. Some don't even know what AI is. The ethical AI is something what Microsoft is really caring most about. What we see is to build trust in this AI world, because for some people it is really too soon to really jump on AI, but for some people the value is not clear. So we built this framework around fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, and inclusiveness. Fairness is that we need to eliminate bias, that every individual who's actually getting access to either a bank loan or to a healthcare is not biased by someone on algorithm, so it has to be handled fairly. Reliability and safety, when we see the cars are actually driving by themselves, we need to really have the reliability built in, that we really take the right data, we test it, and we build the safety feature back in there, and we also test them in some unknown scenarios and conditions where somehow the AI algorithms may react differently, and we don't know how they would react. So reliability and safety is one of the most important factors. We say that you have to have the right data. Privacy and security, you have to follow the GDPR rules, for example, that every data set that we're getting has to be anonymous, that people feel safe and secure about what are being accessed and how the better service is being provided. Are we taking every measure to be compliant with local countries, adding a security by design feature into everything what we do? Inclusiveness is something we care the most about. We adding a lot of diversity into our teams. We hiring different kind of skill sets, because right now it's all about asking the right questions. If you ask a question, how do you program an algorithm for a doctor, you automatically may have the bias that a doctor could be a man. But if you were to talk about adding additional service for nurses, you may think that a nurse may be just a woman. So we need to have that inclusive environment where people remove that bias. And if the machines, actually AI is neither unethical nor ethical. It's just us. We program them, and we asking the right questions because we're seeing the responses from the machines. We're asking ourselves, where did that bias come in from? So inclusiveness in designing those AI algorithms is important. Transparency and accountability is also what we say is we have to let the users and the consumers know how the data was captured, how the data will be used, and we have to hold accountable for any decisions that AI is making on behalf of us. We've seen in the past a lot of these things can actually be counterproductive towards government decisions, towards rising anger around a certain group of people. So we have to be accountable towards what we're designing. AI is actually also helping us to ask the question on what's the future of work? What are we going to work on? Which skills do we need? And so the future of work is, as a result, also impacted by this. A lot of these organizations are asking, what kind of skills do I need to build an AI organization or a data kind of organization? We see that in three categories. We see future work that is not happening now, but also the generations that will become, that'll finish their schooling and degree at some point, and how they are capable of really helping these organizations or even working for these organizations on some of these artificial intelligence topics. So Microsoft, we work very closely with students. We have partnerships with universities and schools. We're working with teachers. Our employees can actually go on behalf of Microsoft, spend some time with the schools, and we also teaching some of the students some of the future skills that are needed. At the same time, we're also partnering with a lot of the companies where we see that the skill-based economy is going to be very important for us to really think about it now. We see, on-demand economy is emerging. The flexibility around workplace. What is work? Define work for me. These are the kind of questions. And so we are partnering with a lot of these companies, and especially with the help of LinkedIn, which is also a Microsoft acquisition. We are looking into how flexible a workplace could be, how inclusive a workplace could be. And the emergence of the new categories of the work that we're seeing is also where we're looking at it. What's a virtual space designer? It used to be a space designer. It used to be an architect before that. But the new work work categories are emerging as a result, and the workplace definition is being asked every time, how should I really be able to help my employees to learn those new skills, unlearn the old skills. The upskilling and the reskilling is something that we also partnering with companies. We recently announced a Deco partnership where we've created YOS platform where people can actually learn new skills and also apply for the same jobs, and also offering mentorship from our employees, but also mentorship from the rest of the companies. Like I said, focusing on the skills is really becoming an important thing. Even if you were to look at some of the studies from World Economic Forum, also from some of the independent agencies, you would see the STEM learning and the uniquely human skills are really necessary to ask those right questions. We are really asking about those diverse skills that are needed to ask the right questions, because if we would not ask them now, we'd probably be programming our machines in a different fashion and form, which probably will have a counter effect. We also internally, Microsoft, we have a lot of these initiatives. The lifelong learning training, what we really care about. We offer our employees a technical skills initiative. We're also offering a lot of time for our employees to go on board and have some free time to learn something and train themselves and reskill themselves, because the skill-based labor market is going to change how we're going to work together. Also working on how the jobs and workers could be matched. We're working some new things where we would have that matching happening. In LinkedIn, you can, for example, see the recommendation engine. It tells you what kind of jobs would be really interesting for you based on your interests, based on your thought leadership paper, based on something that you've already shared with your friends. Also partnering with AI. I'm short on time, but final message is we have to address the ethics question. We have to really look at what's the solving the AI opportunity. Really look at the responsible AI. Tackle the trust and ethics question from the beginning. Talk about the future of work. What kind of skills do you need in an organization? What sort of organizational setup you have? What's the societal impact are you going to create? What's the value? What's the relevance of your organization? And to have a really sustained, inclusive economic growth via AI. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was very interesting. So I'd like to add two questions on that. You were explaining how Microsoft tries to make sure to create an ethical, let's call it that way, ethical artificial intelligence, which raises the question if this would be enough, or do we need cross-industry rules for this new technology? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, it's a very important question. I think we alone cannot solve the problems of society. We have to partner with governments. We have to partner with agencies. We have to partner with some of the institutions that are shaping those policies. So Microsoft is very advanced in thinking and also doing some of the implementation of these policies. Coming back to your other question, what are the ethical repercussions? How can we be more ethical in designing those AI? So internally, we have an ethical board. So every opportunity or every discussion we're having with the clients has to pass through that ethical board. That ethical board is really executives and people with disabilities, people from different various backgrounds. It's a very global ethical board, and you have to represent some of the AI cases in front of them, and you'll be challenged, you'll be asked those questions, how ethical it is. And ethical is definition, how harmful it could be for humans, for planets, but we cannot really predict it now, but we're raising those right questions. And if there is a doubt, we probably rather wait.
Okay. And then I'd like to add one question coming from the audience, asked a long time or some minutes ago, but which is a perfect fit, I think, for you since you worked on cross-industry solution. The question, what is your perspective on micro-mobility, and can we unbundle our cars one day?
Well, I don't know what micro-mobility would have to unbundling something. I think micro-mobility, in my opinion, is a travel which used to be painful. But it's becoming more a need-driven. So if you ask people, why do you travel? Because they need to really explore, either explore something, need to move from A to B, or either carry something with them. So we see that micro-mobility patterns are emerging. Mobility as a service, transport as a service, as emerging quite heavily, because we realize that we have to really if we want to be relevant with companies, we have to provide the right solutions to our customers.
Yeah. And think about all those people enjoying a trip, which you can do now as well. You can relax. We will hand over to our next speaker.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.